Hello everybody, I just woke up. It is 6:08 a.m. right now, which means this is one of the only times I really have any peace and quiet in my household. Blah blah. I'm tired, leave me alone. Anyway, this is going to be my 0 tips and tricks tutorial. I think I'm going to make this a 2-part series just because I'm too tired to do the combos right now, but there are some tips that I can give you before I show you guys the combos and whatnot. So let's cut right to the chase. The very first tip I'm going to give you guys with AProing or tech, if that's what you want to call it, because I came up with AProing sometime last year, and some person picked up on it and barely did anything to it and called it their own. So if the person who invented, quote unquote, invented tech is watching this video right now, I'd much appreciate um, a little bit of credit the next time you snatch an idea off me. If you want to elaborate upon it, that's great. I mean, that happens in the marketplace all the time with existing products and things like that. If you want to elaborate on it, great. Give your opinion on it, great. And if it's successful, great as well. But at least give some credit where it's due next time. But anyway, it is what it is. So the very first tip I can give you for AProing/tech is to just have your skills on the keys basically in order that you would use in a combo. So for 0, this is basically just the most standard. This is what I use. So if you guys want to go ahead and copy this, because there really aren't many possibilities with 0, then go ahead. Triple bash on the A key. I use this classical force just because the other ones glitch for me for whatever reason. It shows me throwing them on my screen, but it never ends up hitting anybody. And for whatever reason, they haven't fixed it. I use loss. The reason behind loss is because I find Orchid to be pretty unreliable unless you're in like a 6-person survival, where which is usually where I'd swap out loss for Orchid, or I'd just throw Orchid on the on my G key because I enjoy loss so much. Another thing is, Orchid really, there's no challenge to sapping HP with it. Loss, it's a bit of a challenge, and it just links better with your combos in general, so that's what I use. Your next option, you can use Bite Off if you want. Bite Off plus Classical Force, just plus a grab, seems a little too overpowered for me, and yeah, I don't use it. But you guys can if you want. Bite Off is a pretty good skill. I've experimented with Breakthrough. Breakthrough is a pretty good skill as well. And I've experimented with Whirlwind. I've experimented with Amid. Amid is pretty good as well. But I'm assuming they'll have to elaborate upon it a little bit. I've used Amid, I've used Increase, I've experimented with nearly every 0 skill, but still what I use today is this setup right here. But just recently I've swapped out Gran-X for Bleeding Gash, just because Gran-X damage wise I think it only hits like 3 times when it's a skill that could possibly hit 5, 6, 7 times within the animation. The hits don't do all that much. They do about as much as a regular MP character's grab would do. The hits are very much avoidable and easily countered, which usually happens. So I swapped it out for Bleeding Gash. Plus, if you miss with Gran-X, you're very open from the back. So Bleeding Gash basically just gives you some security when activating a skill that consumes a lot of your AP. So there's tip number 1 for you guys. Assign the skills in a way where in the order that you would use them in a combo. So, boom, right there. That's my first tip for you guys. My second tip for you guys is if you look at your passive skills here, sword stance and all that, obviously you're going to want to get this. Do not get the lunge. Believe me, I've used the lunge. It's just a waste of a SP point. Usually by the time you activate the lunge anyways, they've already countered out of your combo, and even if they haven't countered out of your combo, the thrust pushes them back quite a distance anyways, and by the time you activate a skill after the thrust, they can already rocket step or flash step and get out of it. So don't bother wasting a point on the thrust. If you want to experiment with it, go ahead, but yeah, that's my pointer to you guys. Don't waste a point on the thrust. Don't waste any points on defensive stance. I like it personally. I think it's a really good idea. I just hit my fucking keyboard there. Anyway, I think defensive stance is really unique and to the game, and I think it's a really good idea. But they just haven't elaborated on it enough to make it effective. But anyway, we'll see with this third job. Hopefully they'll elaborate on defensive stance a little bit more, because I'd really like to use that over offensive stance. I hope Zero doesn't get a sword stance jump attack, because if you're that bad at Zero that you need a jump attack in sword stance, then you shouldn't be playing him. I'm sorry, like I'm just being blatantly honest, and I'm kind of cranky because I only got 5 hours of sleep. But that's just my opinion anyway. If you need a jump attack in his sword stance or even offensive stance, I was seeing, that's just plain stupid, unnecessary. I wouldn't be surprised if they added it in, but I probably won't be using it. But we'll see. Anyway, so obviously with your second job passives, you're going to want offensive stance. Obviously, dash, just being more mobile with Grand Arc. That's always a plus. Offensive stat, critical. Yes. Actually, I don't believe I got critical strike and double attack chances. And in part 2 of this video, you guys will know why. I got this, and I maxed that out. So there you go. I think that was like 3 pointers I gave you guys on Zero. And as you can see, it's already like an 8+ minute video, so I will definitely be making the second part hopefully tomorrow. But I have a project, well, not really a project, but it's worth 10% of my grade that I have to do tomorrow because I didn't even start and I'm failing. So I'll worry about that. And part 2, look for it tomorrow. Thank you guys for watching. I hope my tired voice wasn't too depressing for you. And yeah, have a nice day.